Hi everybody, good morning. Today I'll just take you through how to read the log, how important the log is to understand uh, how to verify the system. So this log understanding is very critical. We generally cover whenever we do whether it is a Node.js, whether it is an Angular project. So especially the behind the scene, we are we generally log all the events. So according to this severity of the event, we generally log the events. Complaint comes suddenly saying that some mail has not gone, some other service has not been called. So some information generally comes in the from the customer. At the time, to verify what has happened in the system, we need to have a proper logging mechanism. The logging is of two types. One, we log it in the DB itself, then it becomes a heavy load to the DB, and the log is too huge to manage. Generally, what we do is we generally log it in the file system. The file system logging is one of the best mechanism that we can follow. And the file system logging generally happens as soon as then you generally write those systems. So I'll just show you how it has been done. We use Vincent Logger. Vincent Logger is one of the candidate. I'm just showing a separate another project. So I'll take a different project. Any thing that you want to do, so you generally have a log. So this is a Vincent Logger we generally use. These are standard available logging system. We go back to my code. So logging system, we generally use Winston as one of the logging package. That's a good package, quite a good daily downloads also, weekly downloads also. So these are standard way of writing the log. We create multiple logs. One is access log. All the request that comes into system, we log it so that we know from where it is coming, what is the time it has taken to respond back, what is the whether it is a status is 200 or 300 or what type of error we have sent. So that is one. So normal log, we call it as info log. Another one is the DB log. Any DB data that we receive. So this is my day info log. The first one is the access log. Second one is the info log. Third one is the DB log. Everything has its own format. We follow that and we log that event directly into the system. So this logging, we follow certain syntax for how the logging has to happen. So the output of the log will look like this. Any error, it will come up as an error. Anywhere info, it will come as an info. So info log is separate, error log is separate. But info log, always the info log will be having the error log also. Error log will only have the error log, it will not have the any info log or anything. So it is also easy to understand where that error happens, what action to be taken, why it is not covered under unit testing. So the word unit testing plays an important role in all this. Whatever we did testing with the REST API, when we have a API done, we tested with the Postman. That Postman itself is a unit testing candidate. So how it has got escaped from the unit testing? Sometimes what happens, you might have done unit testing, everything works fine, but some other place they might have changed some parameter that you are not observed that that parameter is used here in this particular method. So there also it might become an exception. So reading the data log is very, very critical. So one of the customer complaint came to me saying that this particular party, they have not received the one service has not been received. That is what the uh, complaint has come. So I went through the log, understood what status it has happened. So candidate, first is they pass some insurance, that is done successfully. Then pay ID doesn't exist. Candidate, that is also fine. So this is the partner, we call it as partner. This is the same ID. So you can see that document, they said this is the problem. They said one of the document is not in complete status, hence not proceeding to the checker trigger. This is what the complaint is. For this particular person, they complain that you have not sent the checker trigger. But why we have not sent the checker trigger? We want to know, find out where, why. So we found that is happened at 2346. At 2346, this we have already verified whether the trigger has happened or not. Right? Later, the document is going into a complete state. That means at 2552. 2352 and 25. That means after 2 minutes only, it is going into a document complete status. Because of this guy, so this log writing is very, very critical for any debugging, for any of the action that you may expect a complaint might come. So they may say your code is not working. So how do you defend that my code is working, but unfortunately the data that is coming are delayed? So for such conditions, this log writing is very, very critical. And another thing you can see, this get partner details, everywhere it is failing. That means not even a single request is getting passed. That means developer has to address this. Some important functionality is not happening because of this get partner details is giving exception. So this exception means there is some important activity that is not happening in the product. Because we are in the mess, this thing, people may not realize that there is some error happening in the behind the scene. Right? Very important to understand how to read the log. Very important to understand how to debug the log. So from this, it will be clear what exactly happens. It happens at 269 line. This error is get partner details, exception happened. So exception is under some message you have given, but happening at 269 line number. So it is happening at 269. So what we need to do is go to the code, go to that particular place where you want to see it. I'm just opening another window. Another window I just open. So go to that particular place. Go to that particular place where they give the problem is, it is partner controller. They said partner controller, right? So partner controller. Under this partner controller, 269 is the line number where it has failed. Right? There may be, because of the compilation, there may be some lines here and there. So basically it has failed at this point. So what he says, the failure, what he says now? So he says cannot read properties undefined, reading 0. That means 269 he has given. So under this 266 is the starting point. That means 266. This is 266. This is 266 actually. So 266, 269. So basically this place. Get partner details. This is the place where it is getting failed. So maybe at the reading point. So that you will go once you are directly getting into the disk folder, you will exactly know which line it is. So right now I am in a TS file. It is not a build. It is before the build. I am seeing the actual code. Once you build it, the build goes here, the disk folder. Inside the disk folder, inside the controller, inside the partner controller, that exact line number will surely match. Partner controller, right? So partner controller. So surely it will match here if I put 269, Control G. So this is the place where it is exactly failing. Encoded data, something. So 269 is this line number. Provided this is 266. I might be having a, no, here, promise all 266. That is matching. So that is what he has given. 266 is the line number. So 105 is the actual call happening from different partner API.js. From there, the call is happening. This is calling this guy. This is in turn calling 269, and 269 is having an error. So 269 is having an error, that is this problem. So this having an error because the data of 0 itself is failing, that is undefined. So that array itself is undefined. Because of that, it is not working at all. So this is good enough for a developer to fix the issue. This is how after you take the build, this is how a build will look like. That will go under the part of this is all configured underneath JSON file. Out we call it as tsconfig.json, not tsconfig, out directory. Out directory is dist. So all the things it will be compiled based on this target, based on this library. Entire building process will happen. The build data will go into that folder. So basically it will go into this folder, and that is where the actual build is. If you take this build along with the node modules, your actual code will work. Node modules, it is all depending on whether you exclude. We have excluded node modules. When the build is actually taken from the GitHub or something, through there are Jenkins kind of there are process. When you do automatic building, so the node modules get built automatically at the runtime. So that is all possible. So that is how the build process will work. So this build, this will give you, so the error message will give you exactly where the problem is. Go through the path, and that path will give you exactly how to find this out, and exactly you can know where exactly the problem is. This is one way of understanding the root cause and matching this entity. The another way is whether if some complaint comes, generally we call it as Jira. In our case, this customer raises the Jira ticket, and that ticket is here. I have not opened it. This is the ticket we generally get. It will come up. They will say there are sequence of events that is happening here. Right? What is happening? Why there is a problem? This is the complaint we received. When the driver is receiving the insurance verification, insurance complete from OCR, the auto screening is not triggered. This is a complaint we received. Based on this complaint, we said in which environment we taken some clarification, and they given the exact partner ID for whom the problem is, and this is the reply we have given. Based on the log, we did this reply. So this has happened on 2346, right? I just edit it. It is 2552, not 2352. It is 2552. I save it again. So there is a 2 minutes delay. Because of this 2 minutes delay, the document is already, one of the document is not complete because it is not sending to the checker, and this process is clear. Now we have to debug why there is a 2 minutes delay, who updates it, under which area that problem is, so that this should never happen. That is another set of things that we need to debug. But for immediate complaint, this log is an important place to check and update. So that is very, very critical. So reading the log, understanding the log is very critical. So you can have n number of logs. You can have multiple logs enabled, and you can, according to your need, you can put the content of the log. Generally, there is a log analyzer. Log analyzer is a separate tool because these are all written onto the file system that will keep analyzing, send the statistics to the outside people. So that is management. There is a statistics made available. So you can decide how you want to present the log. You want to present it comma separated. You want to present it in a simple text format as we are doing now, right? As you are seeing now. So simple text format. All this you can decide. So this partner control, this particular tool, I passed on this message to the development team. Another set of developers, I passed on this message. There is a communication system that we have. In this communication system, I passed on the message that this is the problem. Please look into this part. Right? So these are all very, very important to understand and plan your activity, because these are all unexpected events. If it is not covered under unit testing, right now it is in the staging environment. Testing team has found out this problem. So this is the way it has to be. There is unhandled exception that has come later. Object is not iteratable. So this also needs to be addressed. All these are very, very critical. Right? This error is a different problem. So symbol dot iterator in process one, something they have mentioned. So, but information is not sufficient, but it is happening. Unhandled rejection is happening. Unhandled rejection is what I used to tell you all, that every node project, you should have this unprocessed, this way, process on. Otherwise, the node will crash. As I said, it is a single thread system, right? So if the main thread crash, somebody has to restart the system manually. That means it will fail to accept the new data. So that is why this is handled by this data. But unfortunately, the information is not sufficient for us. So information is not, because we don't know where it has got generated, that is not sufficient. So error not message is not sufficient. We may have to give the complete error in the log, so that we know exactly this kind of a line number, etc., who has created this, who has generated this log. All that information might be available for us. So that is not frequently happening, but that is happening. So all this plays a very important thing. So there is another problem under original name, upload file, right? Digital version.cs. Original name is not available. That's another problem we are receiving. So every 100% it should be error free. That should be the goal. So some happens at the testing stage, some happens at the unit testing stage. Unit testings are easy to correct because you are doing the testing repeatedly. But what happens after the first few releases that happens, suddenly there are some code changes that you do because some people requested for change, you do that change. We may not know where that impact is. The impact may be in some other area, we don't know. Because that impact is not known, that is called regression testing. The error happens at the regression testing level. These errors are all because of the regression testing. And none of this is getting processed. So it is very, very critical. So at what is the reason for all this? We need to find it out, ensure that it is corrected before it goes to the production. We generally monitor all these logs at least every day at the earlier stages, once in a while in the production as well. So once in 2 days, once in 3 days, or initially every day, then see that there is no error, means then go to the later date. And if you see here, if you see the history of that log, if you see the history of the log, this is that history of the log, right? You can see that this error log was 0 before. Error log logs, not that. I'm just going back to the error log. Error log is 59 KB on 3rd for 3/4 and 31st 1 KB. After zip itself 1 KB. That means there is something happened after 3rd. After 3rd only there is something happened. Some build got released on 3rd, and that is where the problem happened. Up to 31st, it is logged as 31st. We never had an issue because it was 1 KB. 1 KB means there's nothing. It is only a header is there. That's all. It is almost like empty file. Whereas 3 we got error, 4 we got error. So 3 we got error, 4 also we got error. 4 means today, right? We got error. So this is a DB log. This is the DB log error. I'll just open that. Also will give you additional information. So put tax consent. Some violates null constraint. Right? Get location request. Some problem unknown. Right? Get stage weekly summary report. Does not exist at all. There is some problem over there. So this error will give you lot of information in terms of understanding where the problem is. All this has to be correct. So these are all happened in this last two places. In the last 2 days, 3 and 4, all this error happened. So it is very important that we communicate this to the team. In my case, I'm just communicating to the team as well, so that they will go through that error log and they will take the corrective action, necessary corrective action. So this every, like now we are using Slack. Slack as one communication system. Skype is another communication system. This is, I'm dealing with Hyderabad team, US team. I'm dealing with multiple teams. That is that communication system I'm using. Slack, which is a client team. There is a team for internal, our own developers, that we use Skype. Predominantly, we use Skype. So Skype is the, for every company that we have a project name, and for every project that we have a communication, like non-mudalvan skill that we are taking classes, that's again a communication system, right? Marketing, all marketing information comes under marketing and sales. Support, to whomever we are doing a support, that will come there. So individuals, right? AdQuest is another company. Resolio project company, so that is our company again. So multiple companies, establishing a communication system is also equally important. So how fast you can communicate? You cannot say I sent a mail, I've updated the Jira ticket, so you take it forward. No, it has to be then and there communicated. Then and there the problem has to be resolved. Otherwise, it will become a problem. Because there is a release pending. So release process is a very, very critical activity in any of the entire development. Is not a one activity that means everything is done. No, development is one small activity. I call it as 10% of the activity in the whole project is development. The remaining testing takes care of 30 to 40% of the activity, because the regression, developers never do a regression testing. They just say my code is always work, right? My code is always right. That kind of a concept, right? So the developers will have 10% of the work, 40% of the work will go to the testing team, 20% of the work goes to the DevOps team, who does the building, who does the deployment. That is 20% of the work goes to them. The remaining will be for UAT testing and the production, actual production facing people. They are the real receivers of the problem. The developers are not the receivers of the problem. There they will get shouting from the end user. End user will say, they may sue you also. That is also possible. If code is wrong, they will sue you in the court as well. Anything is possible there. So development stage, in the criticality level, it is only 10%. The second beating people are testing people. Because why you are not found it in your level? That is the question will be asked. It will not direct firing to the development team, even though code is a mistake. The second question will come from the management is, why testing has not covered this? Testing is very important because it's a black box. They don't know how the code behaves, but they have to think on all the angles and then test the product. It is more difficult than development. Development, at least you know if then else condition. If it fails in front of you. So it is very clear. Whereas testing job is not that, because they are answerable to the actual end users. The first end user, any problem they faces, the first thing they will come to the team is testing team. Testing team has to answer why they are not able to clear that, check that particular scenario. So that is very, very critical. So these are all important things in any of the business that we are dealing with. So don't think that full stack development means we are the owner or a power. You are only 10% in the entire project. And your stakeholding in that is 10%. And nobody really, if you are writing a good code, you will get a prize. If you are writing a bad code, the problem is the first problem that faced by the testing team. They will get the firing. Later that gets percolated to you. By the time you may be in the company or you may not be in the company. So very, very critical that when you are developing a code, all scenarios, everything needs to be properly understood. This build, yesterday's build, you see the number of errors that is happening. So it is a negligence from the development side, right? Negligence from the development side, you get a lot of errors. But who is the problem maker? Developer. Who is the problem facing guy? Testing team. This is supposed to go in the 12th release, that is April 12th. There is a release. In that release, all this has to be fixed and then cleared, and then it should go. So very, very important that this is all properly addressed. Okay, so this is, we get the reply. We'll go through that reply as we go. Perfect. So these are all the day-to-day things that we need to manage. So reading the document is important. Reading the what do you call, understanding the error message is the thing. So you see here, P dot insurance verified does not exist. Basically, it is a new column added. There is no DB fix that has gone. So DB fix is missing actually. So the DB fix, because it has not gone, that entire thing is failing. So DB fix has not gone at all for the higher environment, but build has moved to the higher environment. What a pity for. Just imagine the problem that we are facing, right? Because one database is not properly done, column P dot insurance verified does not exist. Okay, this build is supposed to have gone, but not gone. Okay, so this is the typical day-to-day problem that we all face in our regular project once you are moved into the project. So development is only a small component in the entire project unit, and that it holds only 10% of the stake. Remaining 90% is with several other team members, and everybody is equally important to make it as a success. Okay, so developers don't think it is everything is simple and everything is only developers face the toughest challenges across. No, it is faced by testers more than developers. Testers are the toughest people in the market because they are in the receiving end. They have to answer many things. Logical thinking, critical thinkings are required for a tester basically. So they have to imagine where and all a developer might have made a mistake. So that typical critical thinking is required. Unless that is there, you cannot be a proper, right? So that is very important. That's why I thought of giving you that. This is all important. Okay. So today I just leave it at this. I just taken how to read a log management. So I'm not considering this. I want you to experiment on yourself and then prepare the log. That will be your project case study as well. We'll tell you to have a log management, create your own log management, etc. So we will not bother about whether it is Winston or anything. You can use whatever the project you want, because that's the way you learn. Everything you taught, cut and paste and make it to work. It's not a big thing, right? You need to find a way to enhance your knowledge, enhance your capability, critical thinking, think how to debug, how to solve a problem, right? That is all very, very important. So I leave it at this now. So your projects, if you are continuing up to that time period, so the projects will be of like this nature. So we'll make you to compile, etc. So tomorrow I'll take up how to do a building of a project. All those things I'll take it up tomorrow. Not much of the thing from our side, but building, once you take a build, I will tell how a developer has to take a build. I'm not worried about automatic building like Jenkins and all, that is not our purview. That is a DevOps team. That's a separate team, right? So we'll talk about that little later. So right now we'll tell how you unit test. That I'll take it up tomorrow. How do you do unit test? I'm assuming that you are all aware of file system management, etc. Because we have already a node session. File system manager is an asynchronous call. That also we discussed there in yesterday. How to take a build, how to if possible, I'll see how to make a conflict if possible, and see how to debug that also. I told my team members to take care of that, so that they
Excuse me, sir, your voice is not audible.
okay. Thank you. Thanks for. You can stop.